In one of my favorite books ever written, Animal Farm by George Orwell, there's a quote that is normally used by a lot of people in modern day that says, all animals are equal. Some are more equal than others. When the animals at Animal Farm had kicked out the humans that had lived there, they came up with a creed of which one of them said, all animals are equal. Towards the end of the book, when the pigs had taken over and had colluded with the humans to run the farm, that creed had changed to all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. A story came out a few years ago. I think it was a few years ago. I'll tell you the date exactly. 2017. A lady called Sibongile Mani received 14 million rand by mistake by NSFAS. NSFAS stands for the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, which is essentially a loan/grant scheme for kids who have meager means in this country, kids that cannot really afford tertiary education. She was meant to get 1,400 rand for her food allowance per NSFAS. She got 14 million. Yesterday we found out that at the court in East London, she has been charged with theft because she spent 818,000 rand of the 14 million. And the judge there said that she had, I'm going to find the term for you now. She had been investigated by the Serious Commercial Crime Unit of the Hawks. I want to find a term that the judge used. That the theft was well orchestrated, that the actions do not speak of a person who lacks knowledge. So she has been jailed. She's out on bail, but her sentencing will commence in March next month. 14 million was erroneously, mistakenly sent to her account. She spent 818,000 and she's being charged with theft. No one on NSFAS side or their service providers is being charged with negligence. And now she's going to jail. Why am I making this video? It's wrong that they sent 14 million. That was their mistake. It's probably wrong that she spent the money. She didn't know where it came from. She should have reported it. I agree. That's fine. I don't know if she should be getting charged with theft. Could have been reckless. She could be penalized and told you need to pay back the money. We'll give you time. You can pay installments maybe when you start working. But she has been jailed and they want to sentence her for theft in this country. Why is this Sibongile Mani case important? It's important because a few years ago, Eskom, our power utility, by mistake, gave 5 billion rand to a company to Tegeta Exploration and Resources, of which one of the main shareholders there is a billionaire in this country called Quinton Vandenberg. 5 billion. To this day, no case has been opened. To this day, they have not been arrested. To this day, no one is chasing after this money. 5 billion rand that was paid by mistake. Very, very important. There are a couple of other companies who have received money by mistake or unlawfully at Eskom who have also not been prosecuted. A company called Trillion, which in partnership with McKinsey and Company, received over 600 million rand from Eskom. To this day, nothing has happened. On another publication, unfortunately this has not been verified, on another publication, it says that Stefanuti stocks have received over 1 billion rand from Eskom. Nothing has happened to them. ABB, another big company, received over 1 billion rand from Eskom. Nothing has happened to them. A company named Tenova, over 735 million rand from Eskom. And then I can't see this company's name, Tubular Holdings, over 1 billion rand from Eskom. All animals are equal. Some are more equal than others. The initial arms deal back in Nelson Mandela's day, where the country felt like they needed more arms to protect our country and keep it safe from outside threats, from outside people that want to come into the country. It was initially concluded at about 30 billion rand. Later on, this 30 billion in 2008 would go up to 90 billion from the 30 billion initial costing. By the time it had been paid off in 2020, 142 billion rand had been paid. To this day, people haven't been punished for this. The state minister, the minister of, I think, State and Security at the time, Joe Modi, said people like Spiwe Nyanda and Stella Sikau and former presidents Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma were all implicated in dodgy dealings that led to this moving from 30 billion to 142 billion. Jacob Zuma has been dragged over the years. He's never been jailed. No money has ever been recovered from him for all of this that has happened. Thabo Mbeki is not even being looked at. And some of these other guys are not even being mentioned. Where's the rest of the 110 billion that disappeared with the arms deal? We don't know. Very famous case, Marcus Uester, who was the chief financial officer. I believe he was the chief financial officer of Steinhoff, a huge company in South Africa. Sorry, he was the chief executive officer, the CEO, Marcus Uester, who's a chartered accountant by profession. Through irregular accounting, a lot of very dodgy transactions, he tanked Steinhoff's share price by about 97%, wiping out 185 billion rand worth of value. For a lot of pensioners as well, or a lot of pensioners and a lot of people who had put money with the PIC, which has over 1.3 trillion rand of basic South African workers' monies there. Marcus Uester's never spent a day in jail. For many years, he was living freely. And to this day, not much has happened with him. He was asked to pay, of the 185 billion, I think he was asked to pay over 800 million rand. I don't know if he's paid it. Nothing has happened. He wasn't jailed. All animals are equal. Some are more equal than others. A few days ago, we found out that at PRASA looks after our railway system in South Africa. They've uncovered 3,000 ghost employees that have been getting paid. 3,000. HR, payroll have been paying people that no longer work there, that don't exist. Nothing has happened currently. No one's head has been asked to roll. In 2015, the Northwest Province set a record where they found that 36,000 ghost employees had been getting paid. Over 19 billion rand had been paid into these accounts of people that don't work there, that don't exist. Nothing happened. No heads rolled. Jacob Zuma, in his famous Nkandla story, over 246 million rand was spent to upgrade his home for security as a president. The initial budget had been 60 million. It skyrocketed to 246 million, with over 100 million spent on things like a chicken run, a cattle kraal, a swimming pool, an amphitheater, a visitor center. Jacob Zuma would, over the years, be asked by the public protector to pay just under 8 million rand back for this undue benefit. All animals are created equal. Some are more equal than others. A lot of people don't know that the ANC, in their struggle, had this really great document called the Freedom Charter. Freedom Charter was meant to be the precursor to the Constitution. And the Freedom Charter, just like the animals had their creed in animal farm, it was meant to lay out their vision for South Africa to end apartheid and to have a democratic, non-racialist, non-sexist state that is run for this country. A lot of people don't know that it was finally drafted by Z.K. Matthews, Lionel Rusty Bernstein, Ethel Druss, Ruth First, and Alan Lipman, whose wife, Beata Lipman, had handwritten the original charter. The reason I'm mentioning the Freedom Charter is, again, just like it happened in Animal Farm, we see today that the ANC government, ANC leaders, and other black leaders have deviated so far from what the Freedom Charter initially stood for. I'm going to point out two very important parts of the Freedom Charter. All shall be equal before the law. Sibongile Mani has been crucified by the law. A student, a young girl who had received money that was not hers. It was not her mistake. She didn't spend all of it. She didn't blow it. She went and she spent 808,000, which could be recovered, as monies have been requested from these other people, of which they've only paid a pittance. Marcus Uester lost 185 billion only expected to pay 800 million. Jacob Zuma and his team, over 200 or close to 200 million spent on Inkandla, expected to pay under 8 million. This lady, 808,000, if you compare with these two other cases, she should probably only pay like 100,000, 50,000. No jail. Yet she's being treated like a horrible, horrible criminal. As I read earlier, it said that this had been carefully orchestrated. Very poor words by our judges. We've got the JSC now, which is picking a chief justice for this country. There's no real justice in this country for the normal man. We are not equal before the law. If you don't have money in this country, you suffer. You go to jail. A person that cannot afford bail sits in jail. A person who has means can live freely because they can post bail. If you can afford lawyers, you can drag cases. For years, we've seen it with Jacob Zuma. We've seen it with other people. This is the country where we live in. The land shall be worked, shall be shared amongst those who work it. The ANC government has not meaningfully redistributed land to the people that lost the land in this country. The people shall share in the country's wealth. The national wealth of our country, the heritage of all South Africans, shall be restored to the people. Patrice Motsepe has become a dollar billionaire. Cyril Ramaphosa, the president, is a multi-millionaire, is a rand billionaire. Are these people sharing? No. The same freedom charter that they stood for has allowed them to become wealthy on their own. These are the leaders of our nation. Again, talking about the land shall be shared. Cyril Ramaphosa has a farm, just one piece of property amongst his many pieces of property worth 120 million rand. Is he sharing this with the people? Tokyo Sehwale has been on top billing, showing off his game reserve. There are so many wealthy black people, and I'm mentioning the black people in particular because they were the ones that were fighting for equality in this nation. And just like the pigs in Animal Farm, after they chased out the humans, just like them, now you find that those same black leaders are now colluding with what we called oppressive, exploitative white people, white wealthy, white monopoly capital. We obviously mentioned Oppenheimer and Rupert, but there are a lot of wealthy white people in this land that own huge commercial farms, that own huge mines, that own huge factories, that have big import and export businesses, that own huge technology companies, that get some of the biggest tenders in this country, all facilitated by the pigs of the struggle, who today are wealthy and comfortable and cushioned like them. Not just men, they are women as well. I normally mention Daphne Nkosi. I normally mention Bridget Motsepe, Dr. Anna Mokhukong, Judy Dlamini. We've got black people who are wealthy today, who are living comfortably and who are sitting on nice boards with big white companies, some which benefited during apartheid. Today they've got these black people who sit as chairmen on their boards, who sit as directors on their boards, who are living comfortably in minority, exclusive wealth in top suburbs, while people are not sharing the land freely, while people are not sharing in the wealth of this country freely. Sibongile Mani is not getting justice. I hope, because he does pro bono work and he normally does it for publicity, Dali Mpofu gets involved in helping this lady. I hope Ngugai Toby, who helped with a lot of cases recently, gets involved in helping this lady. Not because she is innocent. She blew over 800,000. She spent money. She had a good time. I wish I could get 800,000. I'd like to think she's intelligent. She knew what she was doing is wrong. She should have reported it. I understand. But now if we compare it to everyone else at the top, who has looted billions, who have lost billions, profited unduly, has she been treated equally before the eyes of the law? She has not. It's either she gets the same treatment as these people, or these people are treated exactly as she's been treated and they go to jail. Like she's gone to jail and they are expected to pay fully the money like she's been expected. Because she doesn't have the means, the 14 million is not hers. She's obviously relying on the state's resources, which are very limited. Maybe legal aid. If she's using NSFAS, she doesn't have an income she can't afford. She's using legal aid, which is not paid lawyers who get a lot of money to fight for you. There's something wrong in this country. There's something fundamentally wrong with your leaders. It's up to each and every one of you to consider how you vote, to consider who you're supporting in your branches, in your wards. When you're wearing the yellow and green of the ANC and the red and the berets of the EFF, when you're supporting the green of Action SA, you're supporting Patriotic Alliance and the blue of the Democratic Alliance, and you're supporting the IFP and COPE and the PAC. Look at your leaders. You are being complicit in the slaughtering and the crucifying of normal human beings in this country because you're so greedy and you're so corrupted as an individual. You're so happy with your friends driving nice Mercedes Benzes, living in nice houses, popping bottles for you at Konka and other places, while we suffer as a nation. The day that you get crucified, the day that you get done wrong, the rest of us will not care for you. The day you get assassinated, we will not care for you because you have been part of the rot in this nation. We will never receive justice as a nation because lions do what lions do and sheep get eaten. That is what happens in the world, not just here. But if you gain some type of conscience and you realize that this is wrong, this is fundamentally wrong, you have to rise. You have to get weapons. You have to vote properly. You have to pay tax accordingly or evade tax accordingly. And you have to hold your leaders to account. We can't only rely on AfriForum. We need other public interest groups that are going to rise up, not just outer. We can't keep relying on a group of small white people that are fighting for black people who are the ones that are voting for these people, who are part of the corruption and the looting, who are stealing stationery at the schools where they teach, who are stealing medicine at the clinics where they work, who are getting their kids certain benefits that they shouldn't be getting. You're also corrupt. You are part of the system that's broken. If you're working in courts and you're a clerk or you're a lawyer there and you know your person is not getting justice and it's up to you to get them justice, fight. Because one day your child will suffer. When you watch other people's children suffer and you did nothing because it had nothing to do with you. When you suffer, we will be there making sure that you don't receive justice and you suffer like everyone else that you subjected your weak, inefficient, corrupt, lazy service to. Penuel the Black Pen, justice for Sibongile Mani. This is utter bullshit.